Peace, peace, peace. Welcome to another episode of Dome TV. Today I have a very special guest. You've definitely seen him on this show before. You've seen him on a lot of other people's shows, probably have some of his books and just things that he's been a part of behind the scenes that you might not even know. But it's always great to have you on. Kofi Piesie, appreciate you for coming through, bro.
No problem, man. Appreciate you, man, for having me back on your platform, man. It's always a honor and a privilege, man, to be over here on a great platform. I would say a respectful platform, a platform of integrity, a platform of good character, man.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. As somebody who is yourself a Pan African, somebody who is also a writer, right? When we look at the role of Pan African literature, in your view, how does Pan African literature contribute to our, I guess, say, cultural consciousness and identity as African people in the diaspora?
Okay, well, Pan African, again, Pan Africanism. It's not Pan means all, right? So
Hmm.
it's for Africans worldwide, man, whether it's
Hmm.
social, political, and economically. Understanding your heritage of being an African or your ancestral lineage coming from Africa. It can't do nothing but, man, empower you once you understand where a lot of these different sciences come from. When you talk about geometry and you talk about arithmetic and astronomy and engineering and animal husbandry, it definitely can't do nothing but empower you to to elevate yourself. When you look at the past and you see a lot of the greatness that came out of Africa and still coming out of Africa, it can't do nothing, man, but motivate you. Again, I always talk
Hmm.
about the school aspect of where we go and so forth. We get our higher education from. They would say
Hmm.
we can't see ourselves in those higher education institutions, right? So Pan Africanism, man, is a tool that you can see yourself, you can
Hmm.
see your ancestors, and you can see their greatness in it,
Hmm.
and you tap into that greatness. You can't see that in a school, in a Western school institution. They're going to teach you about their heroes. They're going to teach you
Hmm.
about Pythagoras, and Euclid and Einstein and Abraham Lincoln and George Washington was a great man. All different Alexander the Greek. I'm not never gonna call him the Great.
Right.
Hmm.
No, that's absolutely real. And so as we see that there are, and I'm not going to name any names because it's not even really what I'm on. But I think everybody would kind of understand just by me saying this. Obviously, there are certain online movements now that are designed to take us away from Africa, right?
Hmm.
And you kind of mentioned something like all of these great things that took place on the continent, whether we're talking about, the evolution of Homo sapiens sapien to, the first ideas of God, the first ideas of mathematics and philosophy, and all of these different disciplines or knowledge systems that we view as disciplines these days. Do you think that a lot of the people that have who are of African descent, who are, some going as far to deny that they are of African descent, or some just wanting to distance themselves from the Africa part? Like, like as we say, we are African American, African genetically, culturally, in a lot of cases, an American nationality, because this is where we were born, this is where our ancestors were brought to. I mean, and so, but anyway, I'm saying that to say, when we speak about this great history of Africa, um, do you think that a lot of these people who seem to be, I guess, ashamed of their own heritage. Do you think part of that comes from not knowing the greatness of Africa, right, and not having studied, the African history or read some of the books that you've written, about our history and different aspects of African life and African culture? Do you think it's coming from a place of ignorance, this shame that a lot of people seem to be walking around with?
Yeah, it's coming from shame. It's coming from a lack of understanding. Comes from propaganda. It comes from so many different things, man. Like when you look at a lot of people when we talk about shame, you don't see it as much. But when I was growing up,
Hmm.
there was a lot of, and it still lives. It still
Hmm.
lives, but it's not pushed as much as I seen as me coming up on TV stations. Far as the commercials, far as the news outlet, there was always a propaganda pushed on Africa. So they would show negative images about Africa. They will show negative images about pot belly of young children with flies around. They will show negative images of of African communities, right? But
Hmm.
if we come here, I can show you. I can take you right now to a place. A couple of places right now, and it's poor as the poorest. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Shotgun
yeah, here you talk about
housing
here in America.
right here in
Oh,
America.
absolutely.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So that's one part of it. The conditioning coming up, and them saying certain things about them. Even you look at the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and 60s. There was also propaganda through the literature. So there
Mm.
was always people talking negative about Africa, right? What they was doing prior to the invasions of the Arabs, prior to the invasions of the Europeans, or contact with the Arabs and contacts with the Europeans. They walked around eating each other,
Hmm.
having sex with monkeys. AIDS comes from out of Africa. Africa is poor. They never talk about the natural resources that grow in the ground. They never talk about how Africa sustains mostly the entire world. You know what I'm saying, with the natural resources that it has in its ground, and we can go on and name plethora of the resources that we use, right? Um, and even with this not being educated for as the contributions that Africa has made, right? Whether we're looking at Egypt, because Egypt or Kemet is an African civilization, right? Or
Hmm.
whether we look at certain cultures in Ghana, whether we look at certain cultures in Nigeria, Gambia, Senegal. So it's just a lack of information, the lack of understanding, right? So, and a lack of not understanding methodology. And what I mean by that is you have some people who read, like some of our great scholars, and I in the past I have said certain things, but it was not to disrespect any of the people who came before us, but a lot of the things they got wrong. And when you understand that at certain times, a lot of our favorite scholars in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, they didn't have access to certain stuff that we have access to, right? They was limited to a certain things, right? So they can only go far. So that's where we come in at, because they always told us to stand on their shoulders, right?
Hmm.
And expand what they started. So what they started and what they started building, now we're adding on to what they're building, right? Because now we have more access at our fingertips than they had. And we know that science is always involving, and they're always finding certain things when it comes to the different fields of when it comes to different fields of sciences. Now you have some people where it's just popular when we talk about certain people who are denying their African ancestry, or they're saying slavery was in reverse, and we always been here. And I can name drop some of these books that people talk about slavery is in reverse, or we always been here, or Egypt is in
Utah.
California, or West Africa, Ghana was in Texas. There's so many different, so it's just a lot of information too. So that's where a lot of us have to develop uh, um, what research methodology is, right, where we don't fall for everything that we read, because I read a lot, you know what I'm saying, and I just don't fall for everything, and I understand methodology, so I use that methodology tool to measure what is what and how people come up with or arrived at their conclusions or their hypotheses, understanding what primary sources is, secondary sources is, tutelary sources is, and not and then, like, a lot of us people become, or I see, this is my opinion, like a child, a lot of us are influenced by other different things. So a lot of us, can get influenced by things that look popular, that
Yeah.
look cool, right? And
Yeah.
so a lot of these movements becomes popular. People that pushing these movements become popular, you know what I'm saying, and people tend to gravitate toward that, and also people coming from a lot of, and I have no problem with people who are in any type of religious institution, is but a lot of us, we become parakeets. So everything that we listen to when some leader of a religious, whether it's an imam, whether it's a preacher, a pastor, um, once we listen to them, we parakeet a lot of the things that they're saying because it sounds good and they sound like they're educated, and we gravitate into those institutions. And then when we break away from those institutions and we go into these other different communities, i.e., what they call in the conscious community, right, where we're hearing about all these other different movements through or funneled through this conscious community, we take that same thing that we did, and we're parakeet. Now we're finding not another religious leader, we're finding a so-called conscious community leader in whatever movement it is, and we're following behind them blindly, right? We're
Yeah.
not studying the show, like in those institutions say, study to show thyself approved. All of them is not studying. All of them is becoming followers and regurgitate and become master regurgitating of the information that these people are assimilating to the people without going and verifying for themselves that this is accurate. This is correct. This is actually who we are, right? This is actually what happened through the historical record. But a lot of them is not doing any of those things, or not, any of those things. Excuse me.
No, no, you're right. I I spoke to both of our brother Benjamin the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and he brought up a good point where it's like a lot of people go to these movements because they didn't reach the heights that of fame that they thought they were going to get in the previous movement they were in. And, and so we can see people go from movement to movement to movement.
Yep.
And so in order to reach a certain, or to be, I guess, in order to reach the status that they were looking to be, they were looking to have in, I guess, the Pan-African community, you would either have had to been, somebody that was consistently showing up for your people. You
Mm-hmm.
would have to, or you would have to be somebody who was seen as a great teacher within the community, or you
Mm-hmm.
would have to be seen as somebody who was, a good organizer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't put in the time or effort to be any of those. And so, but whenever you go to some of these other movements, you don't have to do any of that. All you
Correct.
have to do is talk crazy on the internet,
Yep.
and you can become, you know, you can become somebody in these movements. I've literally seen it happen And we're not naming any names because it's not even about that. It's not about. I just again I strive to keep the integrity. You know what I'm saying of the show, and but I think the shoe fits a lot of different people because I've seen people go from these movements who were you know who were just somebody involved, and now and somebody involved, I guess, in our discussions and our I guess in some cases debates, and probably was doing things locally with people that they met in this community, and they didn't get what they wanted, right? And
Mm.
now they've moved to this new thing,
Yeah.
and they're becoming way more visible now.
Yep.
And as we know, man, anytime you get notifications on your social media, that's a dopamine hit to your brain. These people like it, right? They get
Mm.
addicted. They'll get addicted to the internet fame, because I mean the internet fame spills over into real life in in certain instances if you do certain things with it. When people say like the internet isn't real, like I'm talking to you having this conversation over the internet right now, right?
Right.
It's absolutely a real thing. But I've literally seen it, um and they use these movements uh to get that fame, and then with that fame, then they start having ideas about how to get a bag off of their people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm not meaning like writing a book and selling books, because obviously that's a fair exchange, right? You write a book, your intellectual property, you're teaching us, we pay for the book, $20, everybody win. But
Right.
they're charging for conferences, and what I'm saying, like it's just a grift, man. And I peep it, and I peep people that uh were just like average brother or sister, and the real overall movement become like famous off of spitting rhetoric that's disrespectful to our brothers in the continent, and the rest of our brothers in the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at something yesterday, and you know how like online, a lot of these movements are like online based, right? And you can find yourself if you're not careful arguing, back and forth with these people.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I strive 2025. I can't give them that type of attention anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
Uh, but but I wanted to ask you this though. Meta, owner of Facebook, Instagram, for the past couple of days, they've been talking about and showing examples of them creating AI generated profiles, and it's gonna yes, and the one every one that they've showed so far has been a black person. One was a black woman, um, and one was a black man. The two that I saw.
mm-hmm.
We if we're not careful, we're gonna be on social media talking about Pan-Africanism, Black liberation, talking about things we need to do for our community. And we're going to have people that we think are real people arguing against us about things that we can do, or things that we should be doing, or things, or how we can, liberate ourselves from under this yoke of white supremacy. And we literally think we're going to be arguing with a real person, and it's going to be an AI generated account. Like whenever you even think about something like that, right? Like what kind of goes through your mind, especially knowing that in a lot of ways the internet is how we reach people, how we reach people that aren't in our local community, how we have these conversations, uh, with people who are uh, far from us as far as physical location. um, I feel like these AI generated um, these AI generated profiles are going to be used to counter our narratives that we are trying to get out there. Like,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on that?
yeah. And it's I think it's going. I didn't know that, but I think it's going to be they're going to be using those profiles to collect data. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? To
mm-hmm.
collect data because everything is about data. And like you saying, going back and forth with these AI I don't even go back with a real real profile. It's counterproductive
Mm-hmm.
for me to be on social media for hours talking about or arguing with somebody, you know what I'm saying, that has an opposite position than I have. And, it's just counterproductive because at the end of the conversation, that person is still going to think and believe a certain way, going to move a certain way. Uh, you know, um, it's just counterproductive. And I believe, when we're talking about liberation, I don't think we need to be exchanging that type of information over social media. I think, you mentioned conference, I believe in having conferences. Um, like in the past, a lot of uh, our heroes from the past, they had
Mm-hmm.
these assemblies, these conferences where they would come
Absolutely.
together. Even we talk about Pan-Africanism.
The
They
Pan-African
they
Congress.
had these
Mm-hmm.
Pan-African conferences, right? And they would come together and everybody would sit down at the table, you know what I'm saying, and try to figure out what we can do far as advancing our people, you know what I'm saying, as far as, liberating our people, far as changing the mindsets, far as, ownership, owning things again, right? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So I think it should be more of those conversations should be off a line, right? Those conversations shouldn't be online. Those conversations shouldn't be on the phone. Those things should be in person because even with that, I mean, they can tap in to your IP and all types of things on the internet. Connect remotely to your
Yeah.
and have access to even your phones. Your
Mm-hmm.
phones be tapped, all those types of things. So when it comes to those important types of things that deals with us, those things should be offline. Those things should be in a private setting, an
Mm-hmm.
assembly, a conference where we're able to have those things, right? I just believe that it is dangerous, even though those things can be dangerous with that because we've seen in the past where those meetings or even those organizations, right, just trying to do the right things has been infiltrated, right? A lot of
Absolutely.
organizations have been infiltrated, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's more careful when it's a face-to-face exchange than an internet exchange. But again, like I said, it could with those conferences and those assemblies can be the same thing. Someone can be a plant in there, someone can
Yeah.
be in recording things, right? So I mean, but it's a process, man, when it comes to that. Even like when you're talking about the AI generated things, like I don't accept everybody as my friend on social media, whether it's my TikTok, whether it's my Facebook, or whether it's my Instagram. Those are the three social media platforms that I use, right? So you know, I go and vent and go on some of these people pages. If you don't have a picture, that's automatically that's a
Mm-hmm.
strike. I'm not even accepting it. If it's private, I'm automatically not accepting it. So if I'm able to go on there and look, and if we have a common interest, right? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Then I accept it. And that eliminates a lot of the trash
Yeah.
off of my social media. So I don't see a whole bunch of crazy stuff because I vent who I want to actually be my friend on these social media platforms, right? And I do that the
Yeah.
same thing in life. And I think in these
Mm.
organizations, we should be doing the
Doing the
same thing.
same thing. Right.
Shouldn't be accepting everybody because they're screaming Black Power or Black African
Mm-hmm.
Power or I'm this or I'm that or I'm a Pan-Africanist or I'm a Garveyite or whatever the case. I think those people should be vented
Mm.
before we accept them and allow them into the organization. And there's so many processes and steps that we should go through when we investigating these people. And that process will eliminate a lot of people who are being planted, you know what I'm saying? And
Well, you know, like a lot of those people that we're talking about in some of those movements who that are somewhat that are like, you know, anti-Pan-African, when those movements begin to die down, a lot of them are going to be trying to come back.
yeah, yeah, a lot of them will be trying to come back, and we shouldn't allow them to come back. You know, they become traitors, right?
Hmm.
They're traitors, right? They just bouncing from, you
Hmm.
know, organization to organization, trying to, you know, a movement to try to fit in, to try to gain some status. You know what I'm saying? Gain some traction, and it shouldn't be about you trying to validate yourself to be a part of something, to get some traction, to get some, you know what I'm saying, to get some notoriety, or go over here because now, okay, what I'm a part of now, it's popular, and we know right now that Pan-Africanism, being a Garveyite, those things are not popular in a sense. You know, those other movements, um, and I'm not gonna name these movements neither,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
there are a lot of movements out there that are popular. And if I name these movements, you
Hmm.
will automatically start identifying faces to these identifying these faces to these movements. These
Hmm.
movements become popular. A lot of these people, like I say, gain traction. They gain a lot of finances. They gain access to and opportunities in other different spaces. Right, so it becomes popular. So a lot of people gravitate. Okay, well, bang, I'm gonna go over here because everywhere I look, this movement is here. This person is connected to this movement. Man, they're making money. They having these movements now, and some of the people in the movement are having these great opportunities. Let me go over here. So they start jumping ship and going over here because it's popular, and for whatever interest or whatever they can gain from it,
Hmm.
that's where they go. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
we don't need those. And I want them to go because we don't need those types of individuals anyway, because it comes now, it becomes about self. What
Yeah.
can I gain? I couldn't gain anything off over here, so I'm gonna jump ship and go over here so I can gain, whether it's finances, whether it's
Mm.
notoriety, whether it's popularity, whether it's access to other things. I don't know. Let those people go and be wherever they at. And then, like you said, when this stuff start dying down, when they try to jump ship back over here, we shouldn't let them. You abandoned us. You
Hmm.
went somewhere else for whatever reasons you went for. We need people, or we need people, or a collective who
Right.
that's for, not just for yourself. We're a collective for the embetterment of our communities, right? The
Hmm.
embetterment of our brothers in other states, the embetterment of our brothers in other countries, right?
Right.
We're thinking on a level of communion, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Collectiveness. You're thinking of individual on an individualistic level. We
Hmm.
don't need those type of individuals. So, for me, in my opinion, those individuals who are thinking of themselves are dangerous to whatever movement that they are a part of, right? We don't
Hmm.
need them over here.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Because again, they already compromised. Like you mentioned, like we aren't in this for any type of uh fame and notoriety, and I mean, it's from a sincere love of our people and wanting us to continue the fight of our ancestors and our collective struggle so we can, you know, liberate ourselves and begin to have agency over not only ourselves but our communities, right?
Mm,
And um, a lot of that, obviously, from my opinion, a lot of this, a part of that, I guess, part of one of the steps to achieving that is our education, and I'm not meaning talking about necessarily what we learn in public schools or charter schools or
mm,
universities, but our own. education and about our own history, culture, politics, radical movements, philosophies. You know, these things are important for us to really start to have a better sense of self, what we've been through, what we were before our Holocaust, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and where we're going. And so like education is really important aspect of that. And you know, one thing that you say often is as I learn, we all learn, right?
Most definitely.
If you can just talk to me about that concept and how just this premise on each one teach one, sharing information with our brothers and sisters, how this is indeed one of the steps to help us achieve the consciousness that is required for us to begin to liberate ourselves.
Okay, so you okay. So the phrase "as I learn, we all learn" it is a playoff of each one teach one, right?
Mm-hmm,
So I modern my business, um, my team off of the uh, American Negro Academy, which was the African Negro Academy at one time, right? And there are great men who came out of there. Alex Cromwell was one of the founders. You had W.D. Du Bois. You had Carter G. Wilson. You had Dunbar. You had so many great people who came. So many men who came out of this institution, and their thing was each one teach one. And a lot of these people was ministers, a lot of these people was scientists, a lot of these people was doctors, a lot of these people was artists, um, and so forth, right?
mm-hmm,
So this institution believed, the American Negro Academy believed in this each one teach one, right? So whatever they learned when they went to, because when they was able to get in these institutions, like some of the men I mentioned, end up getting a doctoral degree. We know how hard it was,
mm-hmm,
being educated, right? So it was important for them to, once they was to educate. Even Carter G. Wilson said, you know, a black man and woman must get two education, one that is given to them, and another that they give to themselves, as what you're speaking of now we have to re-educate ourselves. This is the only way we're able to get out of this rut, if we educate ourselves on who we are, what we have contributed to the world, um, um, how we advanced it when we got out of slavery, what we did when we was in slavery, far as revolt. What are some of the movements that came um, out of us being emancipated and proclamated, doing the Emancipation Proclamation, right? So it's important, and at that time it was important to share that information. Once you collect it, again, it's about data, collecting data, information, educating yourself, and then going back in your community and giving this information to your community. They believe that through that we could advance ourselves through higher education and liberal education, and that was educating our community, our people, about who we are and our greatness, right? So that is something that we need to do. We need to um, re-educate ourselves, and then we need to share this information or build institutions. This is one reason why I don't participate in the conscious community anymore, is because it is the same rut. Even though we have a lot of brothers that are educated,
mm-hmm,
but what are they doing? They all they want to do is go back and forth and arguing. And that was cool. But I seen this in 2012, 2013. We're in 2024,
mm-hmm.
2025, excuse me. We're in the new year, we're in 2025. And it is the same thing that I was seeing from 2012, 2013. We need institutions, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the only way that I believe that we can advance, like you saying, through education. where we can learn about those contributions, right? We can learn about the leaders. We can learn about cultural experience when we talk about good character, right? That's this reason why I love your platform so much. I don't come on a lot of people platforms anymore is because they don't have any integrity. You know, they don't have any morals. You know what I'm saying? They don't exhibit good characteristics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to be on those types of platforms. But if we would educate ourselves and understand, okay, what was some of the cultural practices and some of the cultural experiences, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that was to advance a person to the highest level of a human as possible. And those exhibit great and good characteristics. And good characteristic comes with so many different things. That come with compassion, that comes with empathy, that comes with love. You know what I'm saying? That comes with acknowledging someone's existence. That is being kind. That is being, welcoming. That is sharing what you know, right? That
Mm-hmm.
it comes with so many different disciplines, um, right? And learning about a lot of the great people when we talk about Imhotep. A lot of our family members are in the medical field, for as registered nurse, LPN. Some of
Mm-hmm.
our brothers are surgeons and so forth, and they're taking the Hippocratic oath and they're learning about the Hippocrates was the father of medicine and all these other types of things. But they exclude Imhotep. They
Yeah.
exclude through his writings that he said that he was the son of Imhotep, not meaning that this Greek was actually the son of Imhotep, this African, right? But he was just saying he followed some of those things. Even when we look at Harvard and some of these so-called great institutions, right? A lot of those uh, papyruses that came out of those places, far as medicine prescriptions, tools to use for surgery, right? All those types of things are housed in some of those institutions, but they don't tell you that a lot of these things that they got, they excavated out of Africa, certain part of of Africa. Again, they don't
Mm-hmm.
teach you about some of the great mathematicians come from out of Africa. When
I,
we look at
I
certain places.
I was just going to tell you in the Smithsonian, I saw the Inago Bone mathematical tool that was found in Africa, maybe what 20 to 30,000 years old or something like that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And they didn't even really make a big deal about it. Like I knew obviously from my love of African history and culture, I knew what it was right away, but it's not a narrative that is Africans are doing math 20,000 years ago. Like, no, this can't be right. These primitive,
Right.
backward,
Yep.
savage people could not be doing any type of mathematics 20,000 years ago. You said something I wanted to um kind of, I guess, get you to expound about a little bit. All right, so this um the idea of good character, right? And how in Kemet, and certain parts of West Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and where the part of education was not just the accumulation of facts, the accumulation of data. It was developed. It was part of it was developing good character,
Mm-hmm.
like knowledge and good character were not a separate thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we look at the West now. We have people that have PhDs in any type of discipline that you can name. We have scientists that are making discoveries and building things that and in some cases only benefit the rich. And we start, and then when we look at this idea of knowledge and education, and how in the West, good character and knowledge and education are not connected. You can have one without the other here in the West. But with that said, separating the development of good character and the accumulation of knowledge, what does that do to a society that does not see good character as a part of education?
It causes confusion. It
Mm,
causes chaos, man. You know, when you look and you study African culture in particular, when there is not a separation of the two, there's nothing going on. The structure, the community begins to break down, and there's all type of chaos that is starting. There's no more building. There's no
mm,
more building, right? Because when you look at when people are in unison and practicing good character, and good character, like I said, I named a few of them, few of the characteristics. You know, we can't we can't build, me and you can't build if we beefing against each other, if we're
mm-hmm,
talking against each other, we're trying to block each other from certain things. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna be able to build together, right? Because
mm-hmm,
we're not exhibiting, you know what I'm saying, respect for each other. You know, we're not exhibiting that love and that empathy and that compassion for each other. So
mm-hmm.
when you start to see those types of things, that's when you start to see a lot of things that's taking place, like building. Like if you go back to Kemet and you look at Kemet was up and down. Kemet was up and down. You know what I'm saying? It was, you know what I'm saying, fractured in so many different times. That's why you got so many different dynasties,
Right.
because the breakdown of the community, right? The breakdown of the state, you know what I'm saying? When those things start to happen, it start to separate, it start to cause confusion, and that also has to do with encountering other people. You know, and you see this in West Africa as well, when our ancestors started encountering other people, or starting trying to trade with other people, deal with other people in relations with different relationships, right? They began to exhibit some of those characteristics, like you mentioned, like with the West, right? We know, like, a lot of it, you know, it's a cutthroat world when you're dealing in the
And
Western world. It's a cutthroat
mm-hmm,
world, right?
mm-hmm,
It's no morals. In order to get to the top, we must destroy. You know, that's their mentality. We must destroy. We must eliminate. We must step on.
mm-hmm,
We must crush,
mm-hmm,
right? In
mm-hmm.
order to get ahead, right? So now, through the invasions, or through encountering, through trying to build certain relationships, you know, you see a lot of those different characteristics start to take place with some of uh, the people in position, right? You know, the priest, the king, the chief, the elder, right? And
Mm-hmm.
those things start to take place, and it starts to break down the community. You know what I'm saying? Because now you having where the part of, there's so many different elements when it comes to African culture and tradition, but one of the most important roles is building a person up to the highest human as possible. You know what I'm saying? Humanitarian as possible, right? Because in African culture, I know it's different when we draw the lines between science, when we talk about Homo sapiens sapien, and we break down what a Homo sapiens sapien is. You know what I'm saying? What a Homo ability is, a Homo Africanus, all those different things. But when we're talking about an African culture, they only look at a person as a human being through the development, right? You know what I'm saying? Through
Yeah.
the different characteristics that they display. You know what I'm saying? Or
To
that
be
person,
humane,
yeah, to
right?
be humane.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, we froze up.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Go
Right,
ahead.
you know, being the highest human being as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And through that we're able to advance and we're able to move forward as a collective and get done what we need to be able to get done, because we know when we get odds against each other, that's a breakdown. It's a breakdown right there. We can't build. We can't
Mm-hmm.
do anything together. It's only going to cause confusion. It's only going to cause chaos. It's only going to cause things where now we're fighting against each other and we're destroying instead of building,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they understood that concept of good character. And it
Yeah.
don't matter what part of Africa you go to, there is that element as a part of the culture. It's building up good culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Character development, right, is
Mm-hmm.
one of the essential and important element, you know, in their culture. And it should be the same way now, you know what I'm saying? But we can't move forward because there's a lot of chaos and confusion going on. Like I'm saying, no matter what, most of the places that we go to, these hubs that is ushering in consciousness, where we're trying to learn, we're trying to educate ourselves. You know, a lot of these platforms are on these social media outlets, and they're deeming that they're conscious and they're the conscious community, blase blase. So when you go over and try to learn, you don't see a lot of building. You see a lot of destroying, right? You
Yeah.
see a lot of chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because no one has respect for the other person. The other
Yeah.
person is trying to son lit boy, trying to
Mm-hmm.
destroy the other person, trying to stroke one person is trying to stroke his ego, trying to show you that I'm smarter than you. It's not about the information. It's not about building. It's not about conveying it to people and sparking the brains and sparking the minds of our, you know, of those who are trying to learn, you know what I'm saying, you know, and become better at who they are so they can be better to their community and be better to, you know, their family, right? So it's a lack of good character all the way around the board, right? And then,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because chaos, you know what I'm saying, is the new currency, right?
Yeah.
It's the new currency. So if I want to get lit real quick, all I got to do is start posting, and I can and start talking about a movement or start talking about certain individuals, real
Mm-hmm.
disrespectful, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying,
Like battle rap.
yeah, and do it in a jazzy way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna get that, you know, I'm gonna get that
Mm-hmm.
traction and that look, you know, that I need. You know what I'm saying? And again, that becomes about the individual now, and that's what I'm saying. We don't need those types of people who's always thinking about themselves and what can they do to be popular, what can they do to get a bag, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? What can they do to get access to certain opportunities and certain doors open up to them. We don't need those
Mm-mm. And
type
this,
of.
this whole idea of like, you know, rugged individualism that we have in America, like you spoke on, you know, we'll do anything to get to the top. We don't care about if others don't have food, clothing, and shelter. You know, they just ain't work as hard as I did, or you know that kind of thing. When that's not always the case, you know what I'm saying? Like a community is supposed to a community in the African sense, you know, like uh, the community is supposed to be, we're supposed to support those who some people have issues, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we don't throw those people away, but this society does. This society says that, hey, if you don't, you know, if you want to if you want to achieve, you know, this level of status or have this amount of money, you have to be willing to, as you mentioned, to destroy
Mhm,
um, relationships,
mhm.
to probably destroy your own spirit
Yeah,
because you are going to, in order to reach a certain level of wealth, you're going to have to do things that You're gonna have to exploit others, right? You know what I mean? And have a factory somewhere where people making making $3 a day. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You have to stop caring, right? You have to stop
Yeah.
caring about the human, the humanity part of it. And but um that's what this society teaches, man. Like I've seen like some people do like some thought experiments where like they'll kind of go um with a microphone and interview people, and um it's amazing just to hear how when it comes to helping the poor, how selfish some of these people in these thought experiments became, right? Like, I got mine, you know what I'm saying? You get yours. And again, like, that's not how a society, in my opinion, is supposed to operate.
Nah.
And that's not community. That's again rugged individualism, and we're willing to let you die if it means that I will have.
Hmm.
And I see a lot of our brothers and sisters kind of taking on this idea and worldview as well, and it's extremely Eurocentric. We can only let continue and do our best to educate and let them know that this is not an African way of thinking. This is not um, an African worldview. This is most definitely a Eurocentric way of thinking, a Eurocentric worldview. Anything that's constantly dealing with the individual, like we even place the individual above ecosystems that are crucial to maintain life on the planet. Like, we will put the individual over, hey, you know what? Let's cut down those rainforests and get this bread, from the lumber and the medicines and all of this stuff. Let's get this bread. Yeah, it's the lungs of the planet. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? And this is what this society breeds, man. And it's just, as we just got to continue to speak about it, have these conversations, bring awareness, and continue to learn ourselves. You know what I mean? It's a never-ending journey. I'm as far as our education.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you about, man. Tell me about the magazine, man. Link in the description. But what inspired the magazine? If you can tell us a little bit about the magazine and what people can expect from the
Oh,
magazine. And yeah, man, like first off, congrats on that. Like, you're somebody that, like, every time I look up, like, he got a new project going, I'm like, I don't understand where he finds the time in the day to get all of this done. But we continue to keep doing so, and we are appreciative of the fact that you put in so much labor to give us things to enjoy and educate ourselves with. So yeah, man, tell everybody about the magazine, what
oh,
inspired it, where they can find it. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying, and what to expect from it.
Okay. It's a magazine. It's called Esele. Esele is a Swahili word. It means origin. It means natural. Uh, it means authentic. And so I wanted to create something, a magazine where it's entertaining, but it's educational at
Hmm.
the same time. Because I live as I learn, we all learn. I live that, man, and I believe in that to the fullest. So I'm always trying to figure out ways on how to educate, and it don't always have to be through a book. I did the educational cards a few years ago for Black History Month. It's something fun that you can play with your family, right? And so I wanted to do a magazine. I always wanted to do a magazine, but um, one of my brothers, Shanathan,
Oh
Sean,
yeah.
He's been on your
Mhm.
platform a couple of times.
Absolutely.
And so he was in a magazine and he sent it to me, and I was inspired by his piece in the magazine. And I wanted to know, I wanted to talk to this lady because I wanted to go on such the same lines of it being a digital online magazine where they can get instant access to it. But if
Hmm.
they want a physical copy, I'm able to get them a physical copies. But my main objective is instant access.
Yes.
So I talked to this sister, and we talked for about an hour and a half, and I'm grateful for that, right? And she kind of put me up on game on a few little things, and I went and did my research, and a month later, I was in the works of creating this magazine, a CLA magazine, and I wanted to make sure that it was a fun magazine. While I wanted and educational, I wanted to highlight a lot of the black uh, business owners and local business owners in my area, but I also want to highlight because I'm entrenched in the book world and literary
Hmm.
world. So I wanted to highlight people who are great writers, great storytellers, great narrators. Um, so it's more of a literary magazine where you're going to hear about book narrators. You're going to hear about writers who writing nonfiction, fiction, all types of genre. You're going to learn about technology. You're going to learn about your roots in there. You know what I'm saying? The importance of your roots. We like to look at TV, so there's an entertaining section in there. So there's reviews on movies, TV series, music. You know what I'm saying? There's stuff about that new music they drop out, reviews. Um, Mental health. I want mental health. So understanding mental health, how to get healthy. So it's so many different sections and genres. Editor section. And I'm always going to be talking about how we can empower ourselves. Ownership. You know what I'm saying? It's going to always be things in there just talking about
Hmm.
ownership and not selling all of your equity out of your brand that you build, because a lot of us do those types of
Yeah.
things. So it's a real rounded magazine full of information about so many different topics that you can learn from. Like, we mentioned AI. I dropped the first issue in November the 1st,
Mm.
2024 was the first edition. My son was the feature on there. He was the feature cover on that. I put his book out. Man, what's the name of the book? The will to play basketball, the Bryson Banks story, right?
Hmm.
Um, he was the feature in that magazine. He's on the front of that cover. The second edition is a couple, A. Lewis and D. Lewis. They are man, good people. They are in the literary world. His wife is a storyteller. She has wrote so many. She's a fiction writer,
Hmm.
so she done wrote so many fiction books. And her husband is a rising book narrator, where he
Mm.
narrates other people's books, and they have a business together. You know what I'm saying? So, and they done some. He actually done some work for us in the Acting on Your Dreams and Vision book. He did the audio book for us. He
Hmm.
narrated the book for us, and they're rising, man, in the literary world. And they everywhere, man. They traveling everywhere. They're popular. So I wanted to, highlight them in this edition to show that they've been married 25 years, right?
Hmm.
So I wanted to show this married couple who's been married for 25 years, what have they done to stay married for 25 years, which is a blessing to be with somebody for 25 years. And then not only be married, but now y'all have y'all have a business partnership where y'all doing things together. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, have the same common goals. One is a writer, who has authored so many books, and one is a book narrator who narrates his wife's project, but also narrate other authors' projects, and also have a team of narrators also. So I wanted to highlight, this married couple being married, being in the book world, you know
Dope.
what I'm saying, and rising and helping other people, by shit. Because the D. Lewis is now my mentor, because that is a service that I'm also going to provide for my publishing company, which is book narration. I got all this equipment, and that's another service that I can add, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, by helping somebody with audiobooks, because audiobooks has become popular now, and we have to move with the times. I'm a physical book writer, but I have developed a thing now where I can read fast if I'm listening to the audiobook and read the physical book at the same time. And I forgot what my brother called it. They call it something.
So I didn't know that was a thing.
Yes, yes. So and that helps you read faster. Like when I read, I'm a slow reader. You know what I'm saying? But with the audio book playing on the headphones, and I got the physical book, I'm able to listen. I'm able to turn up the tone, the speed, and I'm able to follow along, pause, because I like to annotate my books. I like to highlight. I like to take notes. I like to tab. You know what I'm saying? But you also can do those things with the audio book. You can also annotate an audio book. A lot of people don't know. So audiobooks are on the rise. So I'm trying to tap into that service as well and help other people where it's affordable. People want their books audio narrated also, but sometimes it can be expensive to get a book narrated. So I want to be able to do it and offer a service where it's affordable. You know what I'm saying? It's not tearing people mouth out. But anyway, man, but yeah, that this is the second edition. It just dropped Friday, to be exact. And I need to go back and look at the numbers. I know me looking at the numbers, come out Friday. I looked at the numbers about 7 o'clock Friday. We was already at 150 some people who have viewed uh, the magazine, and each issue I'm gonna give out a free copy or two, like I did the last copy. We reached about 350. Well, we reached over 350 now, but we had reached about 350. So I gave away a free copy. I'm gonna give away a free copy. Um, Once we reach a certain number, I don't know what that number gonna be. Might be the same 350. Like I said, we already. Well, this was Friday. We had Sunday. I ain't looked at it today. So, a silly magazine, man. So it's like I said, it's an educational magazine. You're gonna learn about so many different aspects, but you're gonna be entertained as well. My brand is in the magazine, but I'm also looking for other people's brand in the magazine as well, as far as pictures. So we have pictures, we have all types of stuff in there, and we're just gonna keep advancing. And it's also building. I'm building a team, right? So I'm bringing in people who I think that can contribute it to the magazine. You know what I'm saying? And somebody can get something out of it once they read it, because that's what it's all about. You getting something out of you, being entertained, but you also being educated in the same sense, right? Because you like I said, you're gonna get that information in that magazine, man. And so every I was gonna do it every quarter, but I enjoy doing it, so I'm gonna do it every month. It's more work than me putting a book together right now, because a lot of the photos, if I don't take the photos and people sending the photos, I have to be able to doctor on. I got to be able to do the color correction, the correct lighting, correct exposure, all that types of thing. I do those types of things now as well, because the magazine, the graphics have to look a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So
I noticed that on the cover. Like it's really vibrant. Colors were like on point. And I didn't know you did that, man. I'm not surprised though.
Man. I enjoy it, man. And in that too, I'm always about family and communion, right? So I'm bringing people in, and this is giving them exposure, right? Oh, I didn't know, this sister, this brother was a doctor, or this brother was, was a art, art developer or whatever. So it's exposing, giving these, the people that I call my team. I'm building a team, exposure, and they can go off and they can do other things by contributing to, this magazine, right? Because it's all about helping each one teach one. It's all about, as I learn, we all learn, right? So, and so and that's my mindset. That's only where we able to advance, right? You know what I'm saying? Is gravitating and us coming together and working together, you know what I'm saying, to help each other, help each other out, you know what I'm saying? And then we can go on in our own separate ways also as well and do our own thing, you know what I'm saying? But we need each other, you know what I'm saying? We really need each other. And that's an African mindset where they understood that, you know what I'm saying, communion, tribes, clans, they understand that 6 hands is better than 2 hands, right?
Yeah.
Understand that 10 hands is better than 6 hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can achieve more together than apart, right?
Right.
And that's my mindset is, is I also have a team for I've put out some ebooks, some educational ebooks, free, not free, but $3. You might as well say for free. So I created it's called the Griots and Griotes Writing Collective. So I have a writing collective, or a group of writers, you know what I'm saying, that I do everything for free for them. If long as it's educational and it's a small ebook, I put it in the ebook format, put it up, charge $3 for it. It's just to help other people along the way. People may want to know how to write fiction, nonfiction. People may want to know how to write, bars for music. People may want to know how to uh, uh, create poems. You know what I'm saying? Orchestrate poems. People may want to know how to uh, do proper research. So these things are small pieces where writers, we come together and we put out these small educational ebooks. Again, it's right now it's instant, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of us want instant, so you can get it instant. $3, you get this information instant, and you get it in these small doses of information, right? And these things is not only helping and giving exposure to other writers, but it's also helping the people, right? Because
Yes.
these are things that people um hit us up about all the time, or we see. So and if we're experienced, and I want people that's experienced and experienced, we can write about these things and we can give it to the people and share it to the people, you know what I'm saying, for free or for $3, you know what I'm saying, which it's that's a drink and a bag of potato chips, a thing of water, you know what I'm saying, and some crackers. Right, you know what I'm saying, for information, because again, it's as I learn, we all learn. It's about sharing information with other people. It is not about gatekeeping, right? And that's what a lot of us do too. We get in these certain positions and we want to gatekeep. And it's not about gatekeeping. We want everybody to win. We want everybody to win. And where I'm weak at, you know what I'm saying, you strong, you may be strong in, right? And we can pull together, you know what I'm saying, by using our strengths and using our weaknesses, man. And that's where it's at, man.
Yeah.
I also put out, I want to plug
Yeah.
my book. Oh man. Uh, uh from the privilege to genocide, the Hutus and the Tutsis colonial roots. I put this out in November. And it's just a response. Like I said, I don't have time to argue back and forth with people online. So
So you wrote a book on it.
I wrote a book on it, right? Yeah, yeah.
Already.
Mhm.
That's cool.
So that's my response. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go back and forth and waste my time and be typing all night,
Yeah.
all day, or jumping on somebody's platform and we going back and forth and you hollering and cussing and cutting me off because you ain't trying to. And I ain't got time for it. So what I'll do is I'll write a book about it, put it out. You can look at it, you can go through it, You can vet it, you can go through the sources and see what I'm talking about. Does it hold weight? You know what I'm saying? Or is you right? Am I right? Is you wrong? Or whatever the case you want to do. So that's where I'm at with it, man. So that's how I'm gonna respond. So, and I don't, and it had to be something worthy for me to respond. I see a lot of stuff, but I look at it. I go on. If I say, okay, if it's something, I was like, okay, I'm gonna write I'm do a blog. I got my Kofi Piesie written composition. I have to write a blog about it, or it's I'm gonna do a book. Let me write a book. Let me write a 150-page book. You know what I'm saying about this, and take a couple of months and write it and put it out there, and then people can go through it and critique it and comb through it and do whatever they want to do. With it afterwards. So that's how I'm gonna respond.
Man, that's dope. That's dope. I think I need to take a page from that playbook. I give some of these haters a little bit too much energy, man, and
Yeah, man.
it ain't even worth it. You know
No,
what I'm
it's not.
saying?
It's not worth it at all, man. I just ignore it and keep going. But I mean, some things, if you feel like it's worthy of responding, then responding. But everything,
Everything
doesn't
can't
need a
be worthy.
response.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
everything don't need a response.
Hmm.
You just keep it moving. If you feel like it needed response, then you respond accordingly. And that's what I do. I respond, accordingly. And that's through literature. You know what I'm saying? That's the
Hmm.
only way I want to do it. I just don't want to do it through, arguing back and forth and texting all night. You've been and looked up. You started at 8 a.m.
You
It's
look up.
it's 3 p.m. It's 3 p.m. You done wasted 6 hours and you didn't ain't nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
Nothing
Nothing
changed,
changed.
man.
Nothing
Yep.
changed. Nah, that's real. That's real, man. Brother Kofi, it's always a great time to have you and build with you on the show, man. I appreciate everything you're doing, man. Let everybody. The links are in the description, but let everybody know how they can. I guess get a subscription to the magazine and also purchase the book on Rwanda and the colonial ties that created that genocide.
Okay. Right now, the Selling magazine is not a subscription base.
Okay. Hmm.
It will be after the third edition. Um, I wanted to create the magazine, put it out there for free, so people can see what the magazine is going to look like, what it's going to entail, and see what type of response I get. So I got a great response from the first, got a
Nice.
great response already from the second edition, and it only been out 2 days.
Hmm.
And so we got one more edition we're gonna do for free, and then we're gonna do a subscription base, which will be $8.99. And those people who subscribe will be getting it the magazine every other month. There'll be a link that'll be sent to you through this email blast every month. You will get it, but you won't be able to share it with nobody. Because only you. That link will be only provided for
Yeah.
you. If you try to
Hmm.
share it, it's not going to allow you to share it. Only
Hmm.
subscription based. But for right now, it's free. One more subscription is for free. If anybody is looking for it, you can go on my page, or you can hit me up and I can send you the link, or I can send you the QR code for the magazine. I done shared it out to so many people. So if you
Yeah.
feel free, man, to share it out to
Okay.
whoever you want to share it out to. Um, my Rwanda book, you can get it on Same Tree Different Brands Publishing.com. It's From Privilege to Genocide, the Hutu and the Tutsi
Hmm.
Colonial Roots. That's the name of the book. You can get it on Same Tree Different Brands Publishing.com. It's everywhere on all print on demand platforms.
Yeah.
I prefer that you buy directly from me. Same Tree Different Brands Publishing.com is where you can get the new book. Also, the Acting on Your Dreams and Vision book that we
Hmm.
put out with Dr. Ashley Wade, myself, and Sir Nathan is on Same Tree Different Brands Publishing.com. The workbook for the Acting on Your Dreams and Vision book is also because we didn't, when we interviewed over here, we didn't have the
Have the
workbook.
workbook. Yeah. Yeah.
So now
Hmm.
we have the workbook. It is also on Same Tree Different Brands Publishing.com. You can reach me on any of my social media platforms, or you can reach me from my www.sametreedifferentbrandspublishing.com.
Okay. Nice, man. Well, again, we appreciate you for coming through. Appreciate all the work and labor that you put in to continue to educate the people and build communities. And your work is very much appreciated, brother Kofi. So thank you again, and thank you for coming through.
All right, man. I appreciate you for having me, man. And man, whenever you need me, man, just holler at me, man, for anything. It don't even have to be about an interview or anything.
Likewise, man.
Yeah,
Likewise.
for sure.
Anything, just hit me up.
All right, for sure, man.
All right, peace, family.
Peace.